question myself in the same situation and consider the consequences.
People were going to die!
David, I want to start here because there are plenty of heroes who are strong. There are plenty of heroes that can fly. You get to do something that is very unique to Superman, and I want to ask about...
Super breath.
No, no, but close. Responding to the pain of kryptonite. Can you walk me through your preparation for doing that? Because very few people get a chance to make that choice.
Yes, great point. I haven't thought about that sequence in a little while. It was one of the first things that I got to shoot as Superman. Was that that encounter with Mr. Luthor and his goons. And now that I think about it, I don't think I was prepared. I think I showed up, and James and I talked about it, and James had a very clear idea that it was radiation poisoning, that it would make your acutely, it would burn your skin and sort of your skin would sort of bubble and burn, and then over the less acutely, when it's just sort of you're in the vicinity of it, you would start to feel nausea and lightheaded, and ultimately sort of the first thing that happens is that your powers get shot, which I think is the equivalent of when you're sick and even the slightest normal things just feel like a huge effort. So that's what we ended up playing with, and then the crazy thing was how long I had to keep that up. It was like a week and a half of shooting where it was slowly progressing through the phases of kryptonite poisoning, and that was one of the more exhausting marathons of shooting. But an incredible.
You had to lay on the floor that whole week. So you were very tired.
Yes.
Sometimes I wouldn't know if you were awake or not.
Actually, now that I think about it, it was a breeze. It was wonderful. So strange.
Slept through the whole thing.
Well, slept through all this guy's stuff for sure.
Rachel, the thing I love the most that we learned about Lois is that she went through a punk rock phase.
Oh, yeah.
What's the most punk rock thing that Rachel Brosnahan has ever done?
I couldn't possibly tell you in this interview. We're going to have to save that for a one-on-one. No, we can't talk about that here.
Okay, all right, fine. What do you think the most punk rock thing that Lois ever did then?
We can't talk about
that. All right, Nick, I'll pivot to this. You're on a very short list of people who are in both the Marvel and the DC families. And I want to talk, we talk a lot as a fandom of how the comic book genre can stay healthy and how it can keep appealing to different people. I feel like we're at the beginning of a second renaissance of it. I'm curious what you think these movies need to keep doing in order to keep engaging the audiences.
Just telling good stories.
Yeah.
And, that's what we connect to as humans, as people, and that's what I think is special about this movie. It gave me a feeling leaving the theater after seeing it that I hadn't experienced for a while from any movie, I think, where I felt uplifted and hopeful for, humanity, myself personally, and for other people around me, and just how I viewed life. So that's something that's special to this movie, and just great scripts and directors. That's all it needs.
So I'm an adopted child, and so the ending of this movie was a wallop. The decision to show the adopted parents. I'm a sucker for any Ma and Pa Kent scene, essentially. I think Pa Kent has 2 or 3 lines essentially, but one of them I'll take with me forever, which is his parents, we give you the tools, to go on and become the fools that you're going to become. So if you each could just go down the line and tell me a tool that you got from a parent that brought you here and is still pushing you through.
My mum's quite dramatic, and I think I am too, at times. But then my dad's way more level-headed. And so I think that I can balance out between the two of them.
I feel very lucky as a young woman moving through the world to have been raised by a father who taught me the power of saying no.
Oh.
And that it was okay as a young woman to say no to things that didn't feel right or, I think that's a hard thing for young women to do. Mm-hmm. And so I'm very grateful for that.
That's a great one.
My dad had an attitude about me, specifically with acting when I was a kid, where he felt like I had more to offer than I was being given the opportunity to deliver. Mm-hmm. And it was not that I was a great actor and that he wanted the world to know. It was that I could make people's jobs easier as a 9-year-old, as a 10-year-old. He had this feeling of like, it's so difficult to find people who I don't know. I shouldn't follow that sentence through because I'm going to ramble. But he felt I was underappreciated, and he loved when people made good use of me. And he knew that meant a lot to me too, where I could bring something really useful and valuable to a group of people, an enterprise, a regional theater production, or a little commercial, for a couple of days. And that instilled in me a great feeling of the greatest accomplishment in an enterprise like this is to be ultimately useful to the people around you and the people that you're working with. And that, I think, has served me really well especially in a business like this where the end product is so far away from the actor's contribution. I really stop thinking about what my performance is going to be on screen, and I just make sure that while we're shooting, I'm doing my best for my scene partner and my director and for the crew, and hoping that they all, at the end of the day, can say, "Thanks, David. We hope you come back tomorrow."
Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you guys so much
Thank
for your
you.
time. Really appreciate it.